Yo, we're back at it. Wednesday night at 9. Hey, it's your man Tyrone, aka Mr. Chocolate, back at you. And we're back at it tonight. I got the big homie Black Pearl. What's going on, madam?
Hey guys.
All right. I got the doctor. I said the doctor's in the house. Dr. Roy Rain. What is going on? And we got a special guest tonight. We're going to spread some knowledge on how to make this real estate, money, success happen. We went and searched high, we searched low, and we got Mr. J. Sutton is in here. All right, he is in here. So how's everybody doing tonight?
We're good.
Doing good.
Well. All right. So how's everybody's week been? It's hump day, so we're in the middle. I know mine's it's been cool. I'm in the school, so again, nobody got grabbed. Everybody.
Congratulations.
a little bit of learning going on, hopefully. All right, and so can't complain.
Are you on countdown mode?
All right, small miracles.
Small miracles.
I'm just hyped up because it's my birthday month. It's March Pisces.
Oh, here we go with the birthday month. We used to have a birthday. There was a birth weekend.
No, it's a birthday month. My mother was preparing. She was getting the nursery together. She was having Braxton Hicks. She was ready to go. Okay. No, I don't always do that. But as I get older, I am understanding the investment in gratitude. You know what I mean? Like to invest in gratitude. So I am grateful for this life that I have because everyone does not still have it.
Everybody doesn't have it. All right. Dr. Roy Rain, what's going on? How's your week been?
Everything is everything. My brother was just trying to get to the weekend so I can help my girl celebrate her birthday. Okay. But other than that, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Y'all make sure y'all stay out of jail.
And, always.
All of that.
Always.
Won't none of that girls trip stuff.
Making trouble, not in trouble.
Won't see no grapefruits in the fridge with altered and stuff, none of that stuff. Be careful out here.
Listen,
I care about y'all.
In 2023, we use peaches, not grapefruits.
You know what?
I'm messing.
Hey, grown people do what they do.
No, Dr.
Make sure I go to your house to not eat the fruit.
Married.
Ask about the fruit before you eat it in people's house.
I just learned something tonight.
Would you like some peaches? Wait a minute.
No. I need to open that can up. Give me canned peaches. All right. So we got special guests tonight. Okay. All right. So we got Mr. J. Sutton. All right. So you go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the people a little bit about you and what you got going on.
So I'm going to introduce Mr. Sutton.
My bad. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, and I'm gonna tell y'all why at the end. I'm gonna do this introduction. So first of all, to the audience, good evening, everybody. I am pleased to share my friend with you all. This is Mr. J. Sutton. He is an alumni of St. Augustine's University here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and also yes, absolutely, and a realtor entrepreneur with Sutton Realty Group, which is a partnership with Keller Williams Preferred. Am I correct in that, Mr. Sutton? All right. And his realty group serves the greater Raleigh area. He's been doing this for 16 years. His service includes high-tech touch solutions for residential, commercial, and investor clients. Jay also enjoys sharing the benefits of being a homeowner and using real estate as a means of building wealth. And he's going to talk about that a little bit more later. Also professionally, he has a passion about leading home buying seminars, Teaching Financial Peace by Dave Ramsey, and also mentoring fellow realtors. When he's not sharing his knowledge in reference to stress-free moves, he also enjoys playing baseball, golf, coaching, camping, and anything related to beach excursions. He is all about the beach. All right, just got to get away. Um, so aside from all of this, he's very active as well in his participation in the Susan B. Corman Race for the Cure, team mentorships, and also, which is why it's my pleasure to introduce my brother, because he is my D9 brother. He is a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So welcome, my brother.
Welcome.
That was way better than what I was going to do.
What? That's quite a resume. Oh
so
my
glad
gracious.
you took that.
Look, he's about that business. Y'all ain't even understand it, but we about to dig in.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to come and hang out with you all, and I really take this. I don't take this lightly. I don't take it for granted. It's really such a pleasure to be able to talk real estate, just talk about wealth building, and share the knowledge that I have, because number one, I can't take it with me. And I'm very happy that I have a supportive family. I have a wife and 2 kids. They put up with my mess all the time. They constantly remind me to take a step back and smell the roses, even though when I don't want to always smell them because I'm too busy trying to work. But I definitely thank them for putting up with me. There's a couple of things that I want to just throw out there for you all to consider with home ownership, and then we can just jump right into it. I'm an open book. I want to answer as many questions as you have. I'm happy to share my story of failures, some misconceptions, and any other thing that you might want to know. But first things first, number one, you don't need 20% as a down payment to buy a home. Whoever's telling you to do that, tell them to stop.
Get right into it. Go ahead.
You don't need it.
All right. Yes, sir.
Number two, there are still 100% financing options out there. And there are even some down payment assistant options out there. Okay. And then number three, always hire a professional. I think a professional, whether it's a professional realtor, professional loan officer, professional insurance broker, hire a professional to help represent you, because this is going to be the most important purchase or sale that you ever will have to do in your lifetime. And having someone who's in your corner who doesn't care about making a couple of dollars, they actually care about you, that's who you want to partner with. And then last but not least, here's a statistic for you. The National Association of Realtors, they put out a percentage, and I won't go through all of the cultures. I'm going to just talk about one. 43.4% of Blacks own their own home. 43%. The next number is 51%, and the highest is 72%. It doesn't matter about who owns the most, and I'm just want to focus on who doesn't own, and that's mostly us. That's a good portion of my clients, and home ownership is very important to me. And I think there is definitely more than life than just to get up, go to school, get a job, and save money in your 401k. There's definitely ways that you can do that through real estate home ownership, and hopefully I can help someone. Whether you use me or not, that's not important. I can't take this stuff with me when I die, so I want to give it to as many people as possible that they can help build their own generational wealth.
Okay.
All right.
You started off strong, Jay.
I like it.
That was fantastic.
Okay, so you talking about home ownership, and so what you hear about in the news a lot, and I hear younger people who are thinking about buying a home. I hear a lot of people saying, I can't buy a home right now because the rates are super high and I'm gonna wait. So what would you say to those people? I'm sure you hear that yourself.
Yeah, so I think the most important thing for me to do is, is have a conversation, and that conversation starts with a home buyer consultation or seller consultation, and I'm talking about doing something in person where we sit down and lock arms and talk about what your goals are. When I start looking at the mortgage rates currently, the mortgage rates currently are historically still low. What people are looking at the rates from the last several years. I would say the rates was historically lower than what they currently are. I think they're at like 6%, 6.5%, whatever that number is. And their mind is focused on what used to be, which was 3, 4, 5%, or whatever those numbers were. And that's what they're basing it on. But if you go back 40 years of the historical interest rates from 1980 all the way up to now, historically rates have always been in that 6% range. So I think we're in a normal. This is a normal percentage. The problem is people are looking at what used to be and they think, well, I'm going to wait until what used to be happened. I hate to say this, and I hope I'm wrong, because it wouldn't be the first time that I'm wrong. We might not see those rates again in our lifetime. Now, should that mean that you should not buy a home? Absolutely not. If you have the financial means to do it, there are so many better reasons to buy a home now than to try and wait. I'm gonna throw this back. The ones that say I'm gonna wait, they probably had an opportunity to buy when the rates were at 3 and 4%, but their reasoning then was, oh, I don't want to compete because the prices are out of hand. Now, had they bought a home then at the rates that they were in right now, they would have made 30% appreciation just by getting into the game and spending a little money up front.
Do you think that it is misinformation that leads many of our community to be fearful to purchase a home, or do you think it's just really like financial struggles that stop people from owning a home within
That's
our community?
that's a good question. I think it's probably a couple of reasons. Most of it is based on education. Where are you getting your education from? Are you and I'm not saying one way is better than the other, but where is this information coming from? Is it coming from the media? When the media can sometimes tell a story a certain way versus giving you the whole picture? Is it coming from your mother, sisters, cousins, uncle, stepfathers who's in the business? Or is it coming from a professional, someone who is local, who is, foot is on the ground? They're looking at this on a regular basis because that's what they do. So I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer to that, but I think it's a matter of who you're getting your information from.
Okay. All right.
And Jay, I would like to just have a transparent moment when you were talking about the interest rate, because when my husband and I bought our very first home in 2006, we fell into the time of subprime loaning. And so what happened is when we purchased our home was only 140,000, which sounds beautiful right about now, right? And when we think about the price of homes in the market right now. But when we purchased our home, I believe our interest rate at the time was like 9%, I think it was, but it had an adjustable arm. And what happened is over the course of the next 6 years, we went from 9% up to, I want to say it hit like 12%. Woo was right. So now, and so what happened is when price, and I'm just being transparent, with $140,000 home, our mortgage shouldn't have been no more than $800 roundabout, approximately. Okay, we were paying $1,200. By the time we decided to flip the bird, y'all don't. By the time we decided, we started throwing up gang signs. You know what I'm saying? By the time we got to that point, our mortgage went up to, I want to say it was close to $1,500, and we was like, you know what, y'all can have this whole daggone house, like for real. And we did. We let the bank keep it, because we were just done, because we realized that basically we were getting raped. And so I wanted to just have a transparent moment with our viewers to help them understand exactly where Jay is coming from when he speaks to understanding how these interest rates really operate, and understanding if you get a 6 or 7, that's kudos. Like, enjoy that. And Jay too, could you speak on the adjustable arm, like the difference between a fixed rate versus that adjustable, especially for like new home buyers that are not familiar with the, with the terminology when you start looking at stuff?
Yeah. So for the most part, a fixed rate is essentially exactly what that means. The rate never changes. If you did a 15-year loan, 30-year loan, that rate is going to stay the same at 6%. An adjustable rate is a little bit different. What an adjustable rate essentially tells you is, depending on the year of the rate, and I'm going to use the one that's commonly used, that will be presented at most of your credit unions that everybody knows about, that I'm not going to mention. They're going to offer you a 5-year adjustable rate mortgage. And then in that adjustable rate mortgage, they're going to say, okay, for 5 years, your rate is going to stay at 6%, based on how the government's mortgage rates, or the Fed rates work, excuse me. And after year 5, every year after that, your rate can be adjusted up 2% or down 2%. Well, it ain't never going down. Nah. So it's either going to stay the same or it's going to adjust up 2%. And they usually have a cap, and it's based on whatever is in your mortgage documents. That rate can go as high as double digits number, but it can never go as low as 2%, usually 2% under the 2% under the rate that you actually get. And that's kind of what can happen with those adjustable rate mortgages, whether it's a 5-year adjustable rate, 7-year adjustable rate, 15 adjustable rate. If you get in one of those situations where the market tanks, and that's exactly what happened, after 2006, when I got into business, we were at the height of the market, and then subprime, all of those subprime loans that came in, those loans that banks were giving to investors and other homeowners. Okay, you got decent credit. We don't need to see your pay stubs. We don't need to see your taxes. We don't need to know if you got a job. Just sign here. We're going to give you the money. And that's what happened. We haven't seen that in this current market, even though the percentages, of appreciation went up so high. We didn't see that this time around because, one, jobs were still pretty prevalent, and most of those banks that got bailed out, they learned that they weren't going to get bailed out again, so they stopped offering those types of loans.
So if you were to give guidance to someone who is just like, I guess, 1 foot in, 1 foot out on purchasing a home, right? So I'll talk to you from some of the things that were going through my mind before I purchased. I'm like, I'm a single mom. I don't know if I can handle owning a home. And then believing the narrative, because that's what you described earlier, the narrative that, you hear on the news and things like that. What are some things you would you say, or because you say, you come arm in arm with that person to guide them in that process to inform that person, of those things they need to know to kind of say that this could be a potential positive and life-changing choice for them?
Yeah. So when we sit down and talk with buyers looking to buy a home, when it's all said and done, we want to know 5 things that your home must have or you wouldn't buy it. And when I get those 5 things, whatever they are, I'm always going to ask that follow-up question: why is that important? Mm-hmm. Well, one, I'm nosy. Right. And I'll give you an example. Like, Jay, I want a fenced-in backyard. Well, why is that important? Well, because I have a special needs kid and I want to make sure that they have an opportunity to go outside and play, or I have pets that I don't want to get away. Whatever the reason is, it helps me understand why they want to make this purchase. It's not really just a transaction to me.
Yeah.
I'm helping someone with a lifestyle change. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of conversation I have with them. I want lifestyle. I want them to be able to answer lifestyle related questions so I can help them accordingly. But more specifically for your question, honestly, I just want to make sure that folks know exactly what they're buying, what they're investing in. Okay. I would rather somebody call me and say, Jay, I had a fire, versus somebody call me and say, Jay, I can't pay my mortgage anymore. What do I need to do? Mm-hmm. That like bothers me to no end. So when I find out what a person qualifies for, I want to see if I can get them something that they can afford for less. And everything that I tell you or tell them is, you're buying your first house, not your last house. Mm-hmm. Don't think that you got to have your dream house now. Buy the house now. That is the dream. And everything else will fall into place later.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Hey, so you mentioned 100% no money down. I think a lot of people in the audience might want to elaborate on that, because that's a big thing for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. That down payment, especially a lot of first-time home buyers. Mm-hmm. So how does that work? What are some options that you could talk about there for people to look into?
So there's a couple of credit unions that offer 100% financing. There's Coastal. There's Coastal Credit Union, which is a federal credit union. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, there's your state employees credit union. I believe there are a couple of large banks that still have those types of programs. There's also, if I'm not mistaken, NACA. I mean, there's plenty of opportunities out there for 100% financing. But here's the way that I look at it, and this is the misconception. There's 2 parts to that. One, it's 100%, but it's not really free money, mm-hmm. Right? Your interest rate is going to be usually higher when you do those types of financing, because the money has to come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay? And lastly, they typically will be followed with an adjustable rate mortgage in most cases. Mm. So I look at it as one of those opportunities. If someone doesn't have a lot of money in the bank, can't pull from their 401k, which you can do that to buy a home, and it doesn't penalize you, or they have family members that just won't give them the money, that's a great option to get you into a home. But it's not something that you need to stay in that type of loan product for the end of that ARM period and something happens like our good doctor had already mentioned. Use it as an opportunity to get in and then take advantage of the opportunity to refinance. But if it were me, I would look first to your relatives, right? One thing about us, when we want some money, we can find it from somewhere. And before you take the money from the government, I'm going to encourage you to try to find the money from somebody else first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that government cheese is always a little tricky. Yeah. But I do take mine every month, though.
So Jay, I have a question. Like right now, I guess everybody has been asking, is this a buyer's market or a seller's market, or is it equally balanced at this point in time?
It's a great question. So traditionally, when you have 6 months of inventory or more, you would be in a very strong buyer's market, and anything under that would be a seller's market. Well, right now we're still in a pretty strong seller's market. There's less than 3 months of inventory, and because there are sellers that are currently not still ready to sell, it still in some areas, not all, but in some areas, there's still the multiple offer situation that you can find with purchasing a home.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But right now we're still in the seller's market, and there's still low inventory.
So what if I'm interested in selling my home, and to your point, my home gets bought in 2 months, maybe 3 after being on the market, right? But in that process, I don't have a place to lay my head. Like, I'm selling my house, but I don't have a backup plan.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a seller's market. So what would your advice be to someone that's looking at doing something like that?
So there's multiple ways that you can accomplish this. I'll talk about the first one because the first one nobody really wants to do, and that is sometimes you just have to move twice. Sometimes you just have to get out of your existing home so you can collect that money and go into a rental or an apartment until you find where you need to go. I don't want to do that,
So,
but do you want this money? So the second thing is, and these are all conversations that we can have, obviously. The second thing is we can position your contract so it's further in advance, right? The average closing time is 30 days, 23 if you use a good lender that knows what they're doing. Um, you can put your closing date for 60 days out. That will give you plenty of time to find another home. Or then obviously the final one is, and lenders will cringe at this, so just so you're aware, you can lease back your home. You can lease back your home for up to 30 days, and you're not the new owner is not considered a landlord. But I would encourage whoever's considering doing that, make sure you talk to your insurance professional, because they have insurance rules and regulations and policies that you might want to have in place before you go that route.
Okay.
But the easiest one, move twice.
Got you. Velo, did you have a question? I'm sorry, Black Pearl.
No, you're fine. I was going to ask him the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I got too much background noise, so I'm my child is over there running crazy. So, but my question is, I bought this is the house I'm getting ready to move into, with the land I just purchased about 6 months ago. We're gonna be building on it, probably looking at the end of the year. So I've bought and sold houses. This will be the 4th time for me. To be honest, what you said about buying rentals, I've already entered a rental agreement now in Chattanooga, Tennessee, for the house I'm going to live in for up to a year, based on build time. We're in the very beginning stages. But going back to the good doc about that first loan, my first house that I ever bought was in Clarksville, Tennessee. Young soldier, got a lot of money from a deployment. So I did probably the dumbest thing I could have done is zero down, knowing that I had close to 6 figures in my bank account that was readily available to me. But I was zero down because I'm in the Army. I can do that. And with $138,000 house, my interest rate was at least 7.6, but it was fixed. Which was decent. My credit score was, okay. I believe I was hovering around 710. Wasn't the best, but it was okay. Once again, I'm a single parent. I was a single parent as well. What I learned from that experience is haggle. I learned to haggle, and I actually went and took some real estate investor classes and a little bit of financial. No, it was more like an Army offered a financial strength class that you could take to learn more about how to manage your income. When I got ready to sell the first house, I first rented that house out for 3 years and learned a valuable lesson. One, that is a hassle because if you ever have to evict a person, that's a train wreck of epic proportions. Two, there's a maintenance fee that goes along with that.
Yeah.
I learned very quickly that I would never rent property again. Not on a one house scale. If I do, it would be something much larger. My second house was a bigger, more expensive house. Still single at the time, but I wanted a bigger, more expensive house. And I did. And that house went a lot smoother. I sold that house immediately, after my third or fourth deployment. Sold that house, made really good money on it. Then the economy, crashed in an epic crash. Really, probably one of the worst times to be a homeowner with a loan. And my interest rate was really good, but I had stepped out on a limb and helped out a family member and co-signed on a loan. The dreaded thing you should never do.
Got him.
And co-signed on a loan, I ended up having to pay 2 mortgages. I paid my mortgage and that person's mortgage.
So much.
Which, at that point in time, I'm looking at $3,800, in between the 2 mortgages. And I did that for 3 years. And I eventually sold both houses and moved to the house I'm in now. But I learned through a very, very valuable lesson about managing expectation, managing income, and then investing. Had I bought that house that I co-signed for my family as an investment, I'd have been okay. I'd have been all right. But because I wasn't prepared and there was no one in that house but her, and she couldn't give me back the money, and I didn't want to damage my credit, it was just draining me. I mean, literally, I'm a single soldier. I'm an E6 United States Army. I don't make that much money, so it drained me. But I learned the lesson, and then if a goes we're getting ready to purchase, this is going to be a new build for me. I'm building from scratch. I bought 12.5 acres in Chattanooga, Tennessee. What I've learned on a new build is there's a lot more into it than what you think. A lot. It's going to cost me almost $30,000 to get them to prep my land. That's just them going in, to cut down bushes and trees. That's not including digging the municipal lines. That's not including, getting contractors on site. And what I've done this time, I eliminate the middleman. I'm not subcontract. I'm not having hire somebody to subcontract out. I'm doing all that now. I've got my group of workers, contractors who I'm gonna work with to build my home. That's saving me almost $100,000. So I mean, you're looking at a 4,300 square foot house on 12 acres with a 60 by 90 building on the side for my workshop and garage. Retail value, if I was to go buy that, that's a $3 million house. But what I pay for is going to be literally right at about $1 million if you really boil it down to everything. But I learned a lesson about the lack of knowledge in our people when it comes to making these major financial purchases is it's almost like a pandemic because we don't know, we don't go ask, and when we do ask, we ask with an attitude. Like I don't need to know that. Well, yeah, you do. if you plan on making it to the next level.
Well, I think some of that is we don't trust.
And I will mute myself.
No, I think some of that is we don't trust the information we're getting. I think it's so important to work with something this big, with someone that you trust is giving you the information that is accurate, that's correct, that's not trying to get you to put some money in their pocket. So I had a question for Jay. So something that I experienced when I purchased my home was that a lot of people wanted to get that fresh new house. They got caught up with the marble countertops and sterling steel appliances. Ooh. And they liked it. They liked the community. Like, is that a pool? I'm down, right? What's up, Baylor? You were gonna say something? Go ahead. Oh no, you didn't. Okay. So I noticed that people got really
I
excited.
had no say so. I had in this last house. I have absolutely, unequivocally no say so.
Really? But so they would run to that, new build. I myself did not do that. I'm not saying that I didn't like the marble countertops, but I just was like, So my question is buying a new build the best way to go for purchasing a house in your, not that I'm gonna sell my house and get a new build, but I'm just I'm just asking.
No, I don't think so, because I think there's positive and minuses to either way you go. Like I'll give an example. Like you can go out in a new neighborhood, buy a new construction home, and it has all the new stuff in it. Nobody has ever lived in it, but you're on a 0.12 of an acre lot.
That's it.
Whereas you could find another house that may cost the same price, but it was built in the 70s or 80s, and you're sitting on an acre lot.
Yep. Yep.
So I think it really depends on what the person truly values. I don't know that new construction is better than resale. What I will say is, if you're going to buy a new construction home, I would probably encourage that person to try to buy when the new construction is in its first phase or
Yeah.
its second phase, not buy in the third or last phase. Because what's happening is, most of the time, the builders, if it's their last phase, they've either done one of two things: either they bought the remaining lots in the development that has already been in place 2 or 3 years, or they've built, 50 houses already, and they're just finishing up before they go to their next destination.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you, as the buyer going in, you're buying this new home, yes, but the person that's already there, they get to sell their home for the same price that you're buying it, but they bought it for 75 to 100, probably $75,000 less than what you're buying it for now.
Interesting.
So
And
I would always
oh,
ride their appreciation and get in there, be one of the first or the second phase to get in that neighborhood.
yeah, I know one thing I've seen, because I do a little real estate investing myself. I dabble, I do a little something, and
Good.
but I've noticed with like older houses, it depends too on how well it's maintained. There are a lot of updates. A lot of older houses are just as nice or nicer than some newer homes when it's really been maintained well, and updates have been done. So that's something to keep in mind there. Yeah. So my question for you, Jay. So I'm thinking about, like I said, I do some investing. So do you deal with investors too, like people who are looking for properties that are trying to cash flow? They're not going to live in the house, but they're looking to get a house and maybe rent it, things like that. Is that something you've come across?
Absolutely. I do work with investors, but and I say this, but or and whichever one you prefer. We have a coming to Jesus meeting when we meet and when we talk,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because I want them to understand that. First, I want to understand what their portfolio looks like, what their experience is, and what their expectation is, because I want to make sure before we even decide to work together is whether or not I can accommodate their expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's an investor that wants to work with me, but every property that they want to put an offer on, they want to offer 30 cents on the dollar, that's not an investor that I can work with, only because, number one, I have a name that I need to maintain. And I don't want to be that realtor Jay who always puts in offers 30 cents on the dollar. Then none of my offers will get accepted. None of my clients will work with me anymore because I'm got a name of trying to do bad deals. So I have to get them to understand that there are ways that you could still make a profit and meet your cap rate or meet your return on investment. That doesn't mean that you have to get it for below foreclosure status.
Right.
But as an investor, the best way that you buy a home are the ones before they even go on the market.
Mm-hmm.
But just think about it. Just think about it from this standpoint. You go to a retail store, and there's that clearance rack, right? Well, a week before it was on the main rack. Well, if you buy it on the main rack, you're buying it at that retail price. You buy it on the clearance rack, you're buying it for 20 to 30% off.
Right.
Well, real estate is essentially the same thing. You want to buy that home before the home goes in the MLS. Because once the home goes in the MLS, it's retail. And you're going to get retail prices, and you're going to, there's not a whole lot of margin of error on those retail prices. That's one of the main reasons why you have, and I'm gonna get on the soapbox just for a hot second. That's one of the main reasons why you have, institutional investors like Open Door and Zillow before they crashed and burned, and some of the investors that send you postcards in the mail, they call your phone and you don't know how you got their number.
Yeah.
Like, that's why they do
letters, lots.
They want to buy it before it hits the open market. One, they know exactly what you got. And if you're getting, as an investor, yeah, that's what we want to do, right? That's how we accumulate doors. But as a consumer, that's what you want to watch out for, right? Because you have something that they want, and that's why they keep calling you.
Right.
And I'm gonna just go ahead and throw this out there for the masses. When you get these homes willed to you from your parents and from your grandparents, don't just let it go because you don't want to deal with it.
Come on now.
Well, unless I call you. Now, if I call you, hold up, Jay. Hold up, Jay. So, because I'm one of them.
Tyrone's like, there's one exception to the rule. We're not
okay. Let that thing go. Hey, I'm gonna give you a good offer.
No, trust me, man. So there are some really great investors out there, and they will do the right thing by offering a person what their home is truly worth, and so they can make money. But I'm talking about them sharks, the one that see blood in the water,
right?
The one that has the little old lady and the little old man that's never seen a whole lot of money, like the homeowners that used to own them homes downtown Raleigh,
right?
And they gave those away for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah,
I'm talking about that generation, and it's unfortunate because they are at home. They can't stay in the home anymore because it's deferred maintenance. So now they have to go live with another relative, or they're in a nursing home, or God forbid they pass away. Well, what happens? You got kids who live out of state. They got to come and try to figure out what's going on. They have their own life. They don't want to deal with it. So the first thing that they do is just let it go.
Yeah.
And then the mindset is, well, this is a lot of money still, and I don't care, and I just want to be done with it.
Yeah.
Right. I know a lot of people that I do a lot of phone calls. I call people. I get a list of distressed properties, and I call people, and that happens a lot. So sometimes people are just they get a divorce, and they're like, "Hey, we just want to be done with this," and it's like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll give you a cash offer." A lot of times people don't want to fix the house up, and I'll let them know, hey, you don't have to worry about fixing it up. I take it as is. And so for some people, it works for everybody. Like, okay, I don't have to fix it up, give you a good price, and everybody leaves happy. But there are those people who are kind of, unscrupulous, and but you gotta watch out for. But
I think when you put it all on the table, and what we've started to do in our business, and I can be transparent. We look for opportunities as well, even though we're realtors. But our set of ethics, because our license is on the line, is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure the homeowner knows exactly what their home is worth. if you do it this way, this is what you can get. If you do it this way, this is what you're looking at getting also. And then let them make the decision. Mm-hmm. But I think if you, and I can't quote this right, but I think if you help people get exactly what they want, eventually you'll get exactly what you want also. And in so many words say that.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with some of the guys I've worked with. When you do right by people, they refer you to other people. Hey, this guy did me right. Hey, gave me a good offer. It was all good. When you be in a dirt bag, you end up getting a dirt bag reputation. You can't do it but for so long. So if you do it with good intentions, you can do it longer. Is what I was always told. So
definitely sticks to the old rule of what you sow, you reap type of thing. So, well, I have a question
because I got one more too. Go
I
ahead.
know. I'm gonna get mine in because you're gonna always blow it up with the last question.
I'm not gonna blow it up. Go ahead.
You brought up a good point about people wanting to get rid of their home, Tyrone, because they're getting divorced and things like that. Well, I want to ask a question on the other side of that. So you have a lot of single people who own their home and they're dating and they meet someone else who's a homeowner. Would you give the advice to maintain their home as they grow? And, okay, so they're together now, they want to be together. Do you advise that they keep their home, or do you think maybe it's better to sell and then combine in a home? Like, do you deal with situations like that?
Yeah, so my conversation in the beginning, because I didn't know any better. So when you know better, you do better.
Amen.
My conversation in the beginning was let's sell, and let's go buy something else. Mm-hmm. My conversation now, and in recent past also, is a little bit different. Do they have the tolerance to own multiple properties? Do they want to manage it themselves, or do they want to hire a property manager? And I personally am a firm believer of creating wealth by accumulating doors. And that would be the main conversation I would have with them. Can you buy a new home without selling your existing home?
Gotcha.
Some people can, some people cannot. And if you can, I am definitely encouraging those who can to turn their homes into rental properties as a way of accumulating, truly accumulating wealth.
Nice.
If they cannot, then yes, let's figure out what works best for them. And quite honestly, there's been opportunities where I've not had to walk away, but I've not got hired because I've told people don't sell, and if you do sell, this is what it's going to cost. This is what you're going to make. Or if you hold on to this and then sell it later, well, guess what? Now you have to deal with capital gains tax.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of conversations surrounding that, but I'm the firm believer of collecting doors, not necessarily selling unless you absolutely have to.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So my quick question, it ties into Black Pearl's question with reference to foreclosure homes. So it's kind of a two-coin question, because as an investor, I would think, I'm not an investor, but I'm just speaking. But as an investor, I could see the potential in purchasing foreclosed homes and using it as rental property. But then on the flip side of that, if I was a potentially new home buyer, or again, maybe I just want to purchase an additional home, I could see purchasing a foreclosed home as a viable option of having two households at the same time at a very reduced rate. Is my thought process correct? Or like, how would you direct someone? I know that was a loaded question, but.
So feel free to ask me this again if I don't.
No, you're straight. You're good.
So first things first, if I am meeting with a first-time home buyer, and the most common question that I usually get is, what do your foreclosed homes look like? First thing I'm probably going to say is find out exactly what type of loan they're going to get.
Gotcha.
If they're doing a government-sponsored loan, i.e. FHA, VA, USDA, something with down payment assistance, I'm almost saying forget about foreclosure homes and distressed properties, because the bank wants that first-time home buyer to be able to move in, drop their bags, sleep on the floor if they have to, and they don't want to have to worry about making any major repairs. So what happens is with those loans, they send an appraiser that goes through and they look for things that violate health and safety. So most of the foreclosed homes, they have something wrong with them, whether it's a roof leaking, water leaking, plumbing issues, electrical issues, heating and air conditioning doesn't work, holes in the windows, wood rot on your siding or your decks. Something as crazy as torn carpet or holes in the floor. All of that stuff violates health and safety. And if that's a foreclosure, then that buyer can't buy it unless the seller, bank, whoever is willing to make those repairs. And usually, what is a foreclosure? It's a foreclosed home. It's an as-is purchase. So that is not ideal for a first-time home buyer.
Okay.
Or even someone who's a move-up home buyer if they don't have the right loan product to go in it.
I can answer a question about the investor side for foreclosures. Yeah, that's something that we definitely look at. And talking about helping people, intentions. So I haven't done it myself, but I haven't had the opportunity. But I've known some investors who will get those foreclosure properties, and they'll make a deal with the owners, and they'll buy it and rent to the owners with the intent on them buying
it back.
Yeah. So that way everybody can get help. Everybody wins in that situation.
Okay.
So that's definitely something that I've seen several people do, and that's a great that's a great thing. It's a great feeling, be able to make money and help people. So
and I like that option too, because if you're looking at investment properties, depending on what bank you're looking at going with, if you don't have the cash to buy it for cash, you're looking at a down payment of anywhere between 10 and 25%, in addition to your closing costs. So you're going to have to put some type of skin in the game, in addition to have some opportunities to make repairs. Now, I won't get too much into this, but Tyrone probably can speak on it a little bit also. But there are opportunities where you can get financed through hard money lenders or private lenders to help you do that.
That's what
the interest rates, they're like
you're looking at like 9 to 13%, but they're short-term loans, so they're meant to get you the money. So you flip a house, say,
get in and get out,
and so you get it. It's not that bad. It's like a short-term loan. It's not like it's a 30-year fix. But
when you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, you just gotta know what you're doing. You gotta know what you're doing.
Right. Yeah. Did I answer that?
Yes, sir. You did. Okay. Thank you. So I don't know where we at with the time. I can't. Oh, we got 5 more minutes. So, any final thoughts or tips, pointers, that you have for any prospective buyer?
Sure. I would say number one, just be open to the process and the journey that your realtor professional and lending professional is going to take you through. Always trust but verify. I heard that from a friend of mine. You're going to get a lot of information. And there's nothing wrong with you double checking for yourself. last but not least, know exactly what you want in a home that you're looking to buy. Be reasonable. Don't don't think of your home as your last destination. Think of it as your first home, and you're going to use that as a building block to buy multiple homes in the future. You know, one of the things that I learned from another counterpart of mine is they moved before they got to their final destination. They moved almost 10 times.
Wow. Wow.
But what was crazy is they bought their starter home, lived in it a few years, they sold it, used the equity to buy their next home. So they had the down payment in their next home, but their mortgage payment was still the same as their first.
Mm-hmm.
And they repeated that process until they became seniors and all of their kids were out of the house. Then they downsized, but the house that they owned it free and clear because they used that money from those previous homes to buy that final home. And they were able to buy that last home cash and still had money in the bank. So there's definitely ways that you can create wealth through home ownership, but don't just look at it because of what you see on HGTV and what your friends have, or what your family members have. You don't know what kind of struggles they're going through.
True.
Buy what you can afford right now. Don't worry about what the media says. Don't worry about what the interest rates, because there's a way that just because that loan is 6.5% or 7%. I heard the gentleman, he dropped off a little while ago. He said he shouldn't have done 100% financing. What if you do have $20,000 or $30,000 in the bank, or you have access to it, and that 6 or 7% interest rate is too much for you? Well, take some of that money that you do have, buy down that interest rate to make that mortgage a little bit more affordable, and then you can still get the house now versus trying to wait for the rates to come back down.
Yeah.
Excellent point.
Yep.
So how can people find you, Jay? Like, what's your IG? What's your Facebook?
Yeah.
What's your handles? How can people touch you?
What's your handles?
So I can be reached at Sutton Realty GRP. That's Sutton Realty Group. That's on Facebook. That's on Instagram. Very easy to find. If you Google my name, chances are you're going to see my face all over the internet. I do that, on purpose. But send me a Facebook friend request. Send me a text. My number. I'm pretty easy to find, and happy to help any way I can.
All right. And we're going to drop your information not only in our Facebook group, but also as Pearl expressed, we are expanding. So you will be featured on one of our new developments that's coming. So yes, sir. So we're definitely going to promote you and put you out there for a greater reach.
Well, I appreciate that, and
Absolutely.
anytime you need me to come back, I'm willing to do so. I love these conversations, and I love to help out any way possible.
And it has been very, very informative. So yes.
Yes, sir. A lot of knowledge. Now I had to bring you back, brother. I had to bring you back. I think we might do another one, talking more on the investor side, because I want to. I think there's a lot of things people, especially our community, should know about investing. Man, when I started getting into it, I went to some of these RIA meetings and was like listening to people, and I was like, "What? They've been doing that for how many? What? They've been killed? What?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "What is? Oh my gosh! I've been working." Like the whole idea of like,
that's right.
Hold that idea of working hard. I had to rethink it. Like I feel like working hard, it should be temporary. We get this thing in our mind where it's like, hey, you got to work hard your whole life and then just retire and hope you live. And it's like, man, it's a lot of things we can do to not work as hard if you're smart about it.
Yeah. My father used to say the dream is when your money works for you, not when you're working for your money. So yeah.
So
it's a different thought process when you figure out how much money you make when you sleep.
Yeah.
Not how much money.
We can get into a whole another conversation.
Yeah. A whole different topic, but it's definitely mind changing for sure. And
Cool.
All right. All right, man. This has been great. A lot of knowledge. All right. So, any final thoughts? Final thoughts, Black Pearl?
This is so much knowledge. I think I'm just processing the thoughts that were given to me.
Absolutely.
I'm like, should I get another property? Like, so yeah.
Right. Dr. Roy, what final thoughts for you?
Listen, I'm honestly feeling the same way as my sister up above me. I'm over here chewing and processing because I'm really trying to figure out if I want to sell my home, because I do have my eye on something else. So Jay, Eric and I might be in contact with you in the near. So anywho, because we go back, like we've known Jay for good Lord, like 15 years, maybe it might be more than that. But we've been in
back in my Verizon days when I was selling cell phones. Yeah.
Yes.
So
so I have no comments tonight. Like, I'm just thankful that we were able to get this information.
Okay.
Well, I definitely want to appreciate all of you all, because what you're doing is really awesome, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where you take your platform and use your voice. You guys have amazing voices, and I believe you're going to be doing great things. So anything that I can do to help and support, I absolutely will. Appreciate you all.
Appreciate that. All right, everybody. Well, I guess my final thoughts for the night, man, is knowledge. Seek that knowledge. You want to get into real estate, it's all kinds of ways to do it, all kinds of avenues. That you can get that real estate license. You can get into wholesale with no money. You can be broke and learn that. That's something we'll get into one night. But get the knowledge and go for it. Go for it. All right. So it's been another great episode of The Experience, and the experience is always good. Peace out.